Harrison County Jail. This is Pam.
Hey, Pam, I was calling for you. We had spoken yesterday regarding the man who does not use a legal name, and I was wanting to find out, has he agreed to act as surety for that legal name as of today?
I haven't talked to him today.
Okay. Well, is he continuing to refuse to use a name?
As far as I know, yes, sir.
Okay. Second question I had is, who is the jail insured by? Which company?
Insured by?
Yes.
I have that information.
Because they're going to need to know that there's fraud occurring here. There's a financial fraud occurring, insofar as attempting to intimidate a living being to act as surety for a legal corporation at the birth certificate.
Fisher, Patterson, Saylor, and Smith.
Okay. One other question. Has this man that does not agree to a name, has he provided any evidence, or have you come across any evidence insofar as a contract or a written agreement between him and your jail, or between him and the Ventura people, in which there's some kind of warrant? Any kind of agreement, any kind of contract?
From California for him.
What I'm trying to find out is do you have any kind of formal written agreement or contract between him where he is consenting to be under the corporate policies that are being foisted on him at this point?
Oh, no.
Okay, so then there has been no explicit written consent provided by him to be in your care. Okay. So how is that okay? Why are you holding someone that has not consented to be under your corporate policies?
Well, I kind of got to say that if you live in this country, you're going to have to go by a few of the rules here.
Hold on a second now. I don't think there's been a victim in this case so far.
I would have no idea. I'm not familiar with the whole California issue. It has nothing to do with me.
Okay, well, then you are aware, though, insofar as where you are, you know there's no victim, correct?
Between him and Missouri?
Well, there is no Missouri. Missouri is a piece of paper. Okay. What I'm asking you is, has he hurt another living being, as far as you know?
As far as I know, absolutely not.
Okay, and yet he is being caged. And so what I'm trying to get from you is, where's the justification for doing that? As long as no living being has been harmed, you don't cage people. So why are you doing that?
Non-existing California states that they have reason to believe that he has hurt someone there.
Okay, well, here's the thing. California is a company. In order for a company to have any authority over anything, they're going to have to find someone to consent to be part of that company as an employee. And if this man is not using a corporate entity, such as a legal name, he is outside of their authority.
So, and I'm just asking this question because I don't really understand the fine details of what it is that you believe, okay? So
okay.
If I just walked out of here today and determined that I have no name and I don't want to be associated with anybody that thinks that is my name, I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, and because I say I don't have a name, then nobody can ever really hold me accountable for that?
No, that's not necessarily the way of it. Here's the thing. The name that we are making reference to is very specific to a corporation that was created at the birth certificate. If that property is used, and I am looking at a Missouri birth certificate right now. The Missouri birth certificates indicate that that if anyone copies or alters those certificates, they're void. Okay, that's what it says on a birth certificate that someone receives after they pay the fee to Vital Statistics or Vital Records. what that means is that there's a copyright on that certificate. Now, who puts a copyright on the birth certificate? Well, the owner does. Who's the owner? The State of Missouri Corporation. They own that birth certificate and everything about it because they created it. It's a corporate persona that was created by another corporation called State of Missouri. Now, if you use copyright intellectual property, you've got to get written permission to do so. And what people are doing is they use the birth certificate to go get ID in order to make money. It's a big no-no and against the law to use copyright intellectual property to go and enrich yourself without written permission to do so from the original creator. Does that make sense?
Somewhat.
Okay, well, that's just the law. And so the whole position here is if you use a legal name without written permission to do so, then you're breaking the law. Now, there are a group of people who can use the legal name legally, and these are bar attorneys. Now, if you're not a bar card carrying member of the legal guild or society, then you just can't use it legally. And so that's why I was asking you, is there some kind of contract that is in existence between this man and the company? And the company would be, say, for example, Ventura, California. If the company Ventura, California says, hey, this legal name has a warrant on it, the next order of operations required is someone is going to have to step up to the plate and represent that legal name and answer for it, because corporations can't speak, right? So someone's going to have to represent that legal name. Who's it going to be? Well, if it's the no-namer that you currently are caging, and if he steps up and answers to that name, he'll be doing so illegally because he's not a bar attorney. And it's illegal to be involved in any legal thing or process unless you have a bar card. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
What you're saying makes sense. I guess it's not how I think, maybe, huh?
Well, it's something that you're not really taught. Because if you were taught it, then you would see the scam for what it is. And legal is just a giant scam. It's the entire construct is a fraud. And the way it works is they get people to enter into it fraudulently and in dishonor. And the way they do it is under this idea that the birth certificate is theirs to use. Now, at some point, I could send you the dozens of calls to Vital Records across this country, wherein I asked them for express written permission to both request and use the birth certificated person that the attorneys created at Vital Records. Now, I've spoken to several attorneys that are legal counsel for Vital Records at various states, and also to directors and higher-up supervisors within Vital Records. And each and every time they have said, under no circumstances will we provide you written permission to either request or use that birth certificate for any reason whatsoever. And the reason they do that is because they want you to request and use that birth certificate. I mean, you have to be the one to make the conscious decision to use something that's not yours in order to enrich yourself economically. And when you do that, you are now under their authority, because it's one of these situations where you should know better. But they're not going to broadcast this because that's the whole legal construct. It has to have your energy inputted into it through your free will consent. Everything is about free will consent on this planet, especially within legal. And if you have a man who doesn't use any legal thing, and I'm one of these people, I'm one of several people, but this guy that you've got in the cage there is another one. There is no ability, there's no evidence of agreement with the legal construct, and the legal construct cannot do anything with those people. They have no authority over people who have not voluntarily consented to be a part of the legal construct. That's how it works. Now, if you would like to have a name, that's fine. But you can't call it yours if the legal construct already has claim to it at Vital Records. And it doesn't matter how the name is written. If it sounds the same as the one at the birth certificate or looks the same as the one at the birth certificate, it's just a fact. It's not a belief. There's a copyright on that. And if you use it without written permission, that is a violation of copyright. And it's also third-party interloping. Because you, me, and everyone I know, when they were born, there was no way we could get into legal contracts or legal documentation, such as the registration of a name or the creation of a birth certificate. It had nothing at all to do with us. So we have no right to that birth certificate without express written permission from those who created it in the first place. Does that make sense?
Well, again, it would go back to what you just said. It would be like, that's not necessarily my interpretation, but yes, I can see where it would be interpreted in that manner.
Okay. Well, it's actually the facts. It's the law. And when I say the law, I am speaking of the laws that are best evidenced by the Ten Commandments. I'm not talking about what a lot of people are interpreting the law to mean as corporate policy. For example, any kind of requirement for a driving license. It's very clear in the code sections that only applies to persons. A person, legally speaking, and that's all codes deal with, is legal things. Because the codes are created by corporate members called attorneys. Those persons are actually birth certificates. And that's what the codes apply to. And what they don't tell you is that you're not supposed to step up as a non-bar attorney and represent those birth certificates as if you were those birth certificated names and that they belong to you.
It was generated at my birth
Mm-hmm.
by the name that my parents chose. They filled out a government form, sent it in, and it was generated for that reason, so that makes it my birth certificate to me, I guess.
Actually, no, it's not. That was something, as you described, it would be something between your parents and that corporation. However, when Mom and Dad registered the name they gave you, the correct way to see the word registration is surrender or gift. They have surrendered that name over to a corporation as if it were a gift. They weren't compensated for the name. Then what happened is the attorneys at Vital Records created a legal artificial person with the same name or same sounding name as the one your parents gave you. This is a sleight of hand. The big difference, though, that tipped us off years ago on the difference between the name Mom and Dad gave us and the one the attorneys created at the birth certificate was that the birth certificated person is spelled in all capital letters. Now, there is, in the English language, there is no convention allowing or enabling a name to be written in all capital letters. That is a convention found in ancient Latin and also in a foreign language called ASL, or American Sign Language. These are conventions that are exclusive to corporations. All corporations, when they're registered, are done in all capital letters. So that's what you have at the birth certificate, is a corporate entity. It looks like the name Mom and Dad gave you, but it is certainly not. Now, if you use that birth certificate to breed other legal documents, such as a passport or a driver's license, and then you produce that driver's license, what you are doing effectively is you are representing that corporate fiction to the commercial legal world. And when you do that without a bar card, you stand in dishonor, and you are bearing false witness. In other words, you are lying and telling the world that that's yours, when in fact it's not. Well, here's the thing. What's going on is he's being held for ransom until so that he will be intimidated into acting as surety for the birth certificate bond. See, the birth bond, it has a bunch of money attached to it. And so if he were to stand up at this point and represent that birth bond, it could be paid for insofar as his arrest and incarceration. That would be paid for. And so the insurance companies, anyone involved in the monetary aspect of this situation, they need to know that there is there's an attempt to coerce a living being to act as surety for a corporation. And that's unlawful. It's unlawful to force someone to enter into contract. It's called aiding and abetting in legal name fraud. It's called personage. What you're trying to do here, what's involved here is the jailers or whoever's involved in keeping this guy in this cage. They're attempting to clothe him in a corporate person for which he has no authority whatsoever to claim as his own. This guy cannot be touched by the legal system unless he consents to be a part of the legal system. And the way people typically do that is they use legal names, legal date of birth, or legal addresses. All three of these things do not belong to any living being. So, thus far, he's not agreed to a legal name, correct?
Not to my knowledge, no, sir.
Right. Okay. And how about a legal date of birth or legal address?
Okay, I need to know what it is you need from me. Basically, you're just telling me your thoughts and
I'm just telling you, you're breaking the law. You're breaking the law.
from me?
You are breaking the law, Pam.
And you have stated that repeatedly, and I get it. Now, what is it you need from me?
Well, what are you going to do about that? Bearing false witness is against the law. Stealing is against the law.
Until the state of California tells me not to do it anymore.
Now, how's the state of California going to tell you anything?
They're going to send me a paper, or they're going to make a phone call.
When you say they, who's that? Be very careful here, because you come across as delusional when you say a state of California is going to interact with you. The state of California is a piece of paper in a filing cabinet.
Their representative will either fax me a piece of paper or make a phone call.
Okay, well, that piece of paper would be a legal document, correct?
Yes, sir.
And are you a bar attorney?
No, sir.
And how is it possible that you could be involved in legal?
No. What do I need to do for you? What is it you and I need to resolve here that I can move on with my day?
You need to tell me how it is that you can practice law without a bar card, number one, and how it is that you can be part of this theft and this lying and call yourself law enforcement.
Well, it's not my interpretation that I am doing any of that, so...
Aren't you involved in the theft of this vehicle as well that this guy was traveling in? Isn't that theft?
I don't know anything about his vehicle. As far as I know, his traveling partner still has it.
Okay. Well, that's not information I have, so that vehicle hasn't been impounded?
I would not to my knowledge, but I wasn't there. Again, I've been on vacation. I don't know what took place while I was gone.
Okay. Well, there's no money that can be gotten out of this guy as long as he doesn't agree to a legal entity at the birth certificate. So
I'm asking him for money, so we're good there.
Well, okay, then let me speak to him.
Speak to him? He's free to call you at any time.
Okay. Well, how do I call him directly?
You cannot call him directly.
So he's not free to receive my call?
No.
Why not?
Because he's incarcerated, and he'll have to choose to call you.
Okay, so let me just ask you I need to understand this. I need to comprehend where you're coming from. When you say he's free to call me, what exactly does he have to do in order to call me?
He has to walk up to the phone and dial your number.
Okay, does he have to agree to a legal name in order to do that?
No.
Okay. So if I gave you a phone number, he could walk up to a phone and dial out and call me free of charge?
Well, no, it wouldn't be free of charge, but he wouldn't have to have a name.
Okay. How does he... answer me this. Has his money been taken from him?
No, he has access to his money.
Okay,
he doesn't have it in his hand, but he has access.
And how does he get that money? Does he have to provide a legal name to get that money?
No, he would poke in his inmate number.
he would poke in an inmate number. And is that number associated with a legal name?
It is.
And so that he would actually have to be using a legal name, which is unlawful, to call me.
That could be his interpretation of it, but no, not necessarily. He can walk up to that machine and he can either type in a name or he can type in a number, whichever he chooses to do.
So he, in order to call out, he has to use the mark of the beast or the number of its name. And when I say the beast, that's the legal system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You ever heard of Revelations in the Bible?
Oh, Lord have mercy. What is it you need from me?
It's amazing how that thing's playing out. What I need you to do is to stop breaking the law and harming people, because you are very much harming this man.
Have to be something that I can do for you. Is there something I
yes,
can do for you?
Yes, you can do the right thing and have a heart and be a living being for once.
No, I'm not doing that. So is there something else?
You're not going to be a living being with a heart?
Correct.
Well, that's pretty sad.
All right. Is there
that's bad. So you're really the wrong person to be administering a jail. You have total. You're negligent at this point. You're indifferent to human life.
Okay.
Right. So what I need to do is I need to speak to this guy without any contracts. I don't need to agree to anything with you people and your fictions and your idolatry.
You're not going to speak to him, because either you're going to have to set up a phone account for him to call you and it be billed to you, or he's going to have to get on that kiosk to get his money back out so that he can call you and it be billed to him.
Yeah, so this is all about extortion. You're an extortionist.
Really?
Yes.
Is the phone call that you're making right now free?
You're involved in kidnapping someone, and you're attempting to charge your victim in order to speak to other people.
Charge to you?
Right. Well, you're a serious criminal, Pam. You're a very serious criminal. You're a very hardened heart criminal.
Okay, I'll talk to you when you call back then.
You need to stop being a criminal.